Thank you so much. We are now going to go into a very interesting CIO panel, the future of data science, machine learning, and AI. We'll just take a couple of minutes to do the setup. And in the meanwhile, a mention about the sponsors for the event. Infocom 2019 Delhi is supported by Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, Digital India Plan, and NEGD. May I request all to kindly remain seated? This is a very interesting session, and straight after that, we're going to have Mr. Raman once again for another 1-hour session. The partner states for this event is our governments of Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand, co-host STPI, banking partner Punjab National Bank, associate partners Jharkhand Agency for Promotion of Information Technology, .1 Solutions and 4C+, Power Grid Corporation of India, exchange partner BSE SME, SME partner FISME, and TV partner ABP News. Ladies and gentlemen, this CIO panel, which is titled The Future of Data Science, Machine Learning, and AI, is very interesting. It's going to leave you absolutely mesmerized, and don't leave your seats, because straight after the CIO panel, we're going to have Mr. Harish Sai Raman once again here with us for another session where we are all going to be awestruck. Ladies and gentlemen, we start off with the CIO panel, the future of data science, machine learning, and AI, and I take this opportunity to welcome and introduce the panelists and the chairperson and moderator. Our first panelist for this session is Mr. Puneesh Lamba, Senior Vice President and Group CIO, CK Birla Group. May I request Mr. Puneesh Lamba to kindly come onto the dais and take his seat. Mr. Puneesh Lamba is a senior IT leader who has worked across the globe, primarily in India, USA, and Europe, in diverse industries. He's an engineer with advanced strategy and information technology courses from Kellogg School of Management, IIM Ahmedabad, and Harvard Business School. He has over 25 years of experience and has worked in various technologies. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. Our next panelist for this session is Mr. Vipul Anand. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Mr. Vipul Anand is SVP, IT and Group CIO, Hindware Group. He's a part of the core management team of the group and has taken active part in aligning IT strategies with the business objectives, with a focus to implement IT systems in a time-bound manner within cost frameworks and with best utilization of the resources. He's a computer science engineering graduate with over 28 years of strong industry experience in business and technology, and a highly successful technology leader, having led the IT functions of leading organizations in his career span. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. Our next panelist for this session will be Mr. Parna Ghosh, Vice President and Group CIO, UNO MINDA Group. May I request you to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Currently, Mr. Parna Ghosh is working as Group CIO for $1.3 billion UNO MINDA Group. Total experience spans across almost over 28 years in reputed MNCs and Indian organizations in leadership capacities. He's 5 times winner of the coveted CIO iOS Awards and several prestigious awards in India. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. Our next panelist for this session is Mr. Rajeev Gupta, Group CIO, AirOne Aviation Group. May I request you to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat, sir. Mr. Rajeev Gupta is a management graduate and is currently working as Group CIO with AirOne Aviation Group since its inception. He has around 3 decades of experience in the field of information technology, software development, and business solutions in aviation and other various industry environments in India and abroad. He has previously worked with KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, Jet Airways, Air Sahara, and SPH to lead key technology positions. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir. And The chairperson and moderator for this session is Mr. Nikhil Kumar, Director, Advisory Services, Ernst & Young LLP. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Mr. Nikhil works with EY Advisory Practice in Gurgaon and has more than a decade of work experience on business and IT transformation, and his interest focuses on technology, IT, ITES industry. He has worked back across US, Europe, Middle East, South Asia, and Indian clients on technology-led transformation programs, providing increased business value. He has experience as Black Belt Quality Manager in a BPO and is an MBA by post-graduation. Very hearty welcome to you, sir, and I'll hand over the session to you.
Hello, can you hear me? Great. Thank you so much for the introductions. Before I start, I just want to mention it's not only just about the topic, but this is a panel which is really interesting, which makes this topic even more exciting. The reason being the panel over here is from very diverse industries. We have one person who's from a conglomerate, Indian conglomerate, which houses more than 10 businesses. B2B business, B2C business, all kinds of business, services business, manufacturing businesses at one place. We have another panel who's in the B2C business in India. So that'll give you flavors from a B2C business perspective. We have other panel, MINDA, which is a B2B company. Again, you'll hear experiences from a B2B point of view. And we have an aviation business expert. So you'll also hear from a services point of view and from an Indian aviation perspective, what's been their experiences. So the panel makes it really interesting as a topic. Before I go into actually various aspects of the topic, what I would like to first clarify with this esteemed panel is what is their definition, so that it's clear with everyone, when we say ML and when we say AI, what does it mean? What do you really mean by ML and AI? How do you define it? And what myths do you think exist in the market today? Because many times, people use automation as ML AI. So just your point, sir. What is ML AI and what are the myths around in the market?
Sure. So thanks, Nikhil. Look, I'll start with data. Today, whatever we do in our organizations or in our companies, it is around data. And what the goal that we have is to convert data into information and convert information into insights. And that is done through data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all those cognitive capabilities that we have these days. So yes, we have our own definition, but like digital, the definition for every person for data science, for machine learning, for artificial intelligence will be different. So instead of going into definition, what I'll like to go in is the significance, is the importance. Look, data science is becoming so important these days that it has the power to improve productivity of the company, of efficiencies, improving your customer relations or interaction with the customer, connecting with your influencers. I mean, there are a lot of use cases, multiple use cases. And now, what is becoming now is data science. While it is making the data scientists as the rock stars of IT function and digital function, it is also becoming the single most important differentiator for companies, maybe in the next 3 years. If any company which is not working in data science or machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these technologies, they will not be able to survive in the market. And not only that, I'll tell you about the journey that we had. So we started a journey some time back in this, when we were setting up a COE of data science and analytics. And the one mistake normally people will do is that they will start hiring people first. Let's start building a data scientist team and working on building a team, and then start thinking on what are the use cases and what are the projects that we should pick. I think that we should avoid, and we did that. So not only technology, but we've managed to touch on the change management also. We had good success, early success, but if I say enough, not really, not at all actually. We barely scratched the surface. So coming back to the technology, the data science or machine learning or artificial intelligence, the project that you do with them around data are extremely important, yes. But the projects that you do, which are like another set of next-gen technologies, like maybe robotic process automation or predictive analytics or augmented reality, virtual reality, they also need inputs from these. Because ultimately, everything is algorithm. So you have to keep on refining those algorithms using your cognitive capabilities, whether it is AI-oriented or machine learning. So that means the importance of data science is now everywhere. So, without that, it will be very difficult for us. But it is not magic. It is just a technology. It is an enabler. So while you have technology in your hand, it is extremely important that we find the right use cases, right projects, initiatives, build the team, define the metrics that this will define the success of the project. Going live with the technology is not a success of the project. So that is also extremely important when we work on this. But one caveat which is extremely important to note here is data science or machine learning or any cognitive capability will depend on the underlying data that we're using. And the quality of that data will actually define the success of your project. So it is extremely important that the 3 C's of data, which is completeness, correctness, and consistency, are checked and ensured that this is okay before you start the project. So coming back to your point, data science extremely important. And my thing is that if any company is they do not have a journey yet, they will not be able to survive.
Thanks for your input, sir. I think since you touched upon data and importance of it, it's been called today that data is the new oil. What we used to say that oil makes companies or countries survive, data is going to make companies survive. So with that, so what's, Mr. Vipul, what do you think is importance of data, ML, AI, how do you differentiate it from automation, and what do you think are the myths in the market today?
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Infocom and Khalida, for having invited me to this prestigious panel discussion, and equally delighted to have you as our moderator and the fellow panelists. Before I come to your question, it is important for us to understand the theme of this event and correlate to your previous question, what is AI and ML? The theme of the event is that we are in a dynamic business environment. We are in an environment when 20 years back in our country, we started with something called computerization. And everyone was scared of computerization. People were thinking that if you bring computerization in your corporates, in your government sector, in your public sector, you are bound to lose your job. From those ages to this age, when we are talking of something called VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous business environment, the importance of high level of computerization becomes all the more important. Another thing is, around the globe, if you see, the impact of technology adoption in the enterprise, in the society is so high that it has benefited the humankind. So with all this in the background, what has come out is a new buzzword. It's no more a buzzword. It's called artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, in my opinion, is something where you are enabling the society with much more than the human dimension of anything and everything. It is giving the machine an ability to work like a human intelligence. It is like giving the machine an ability to work more like a human being than a machine. Take an example, if you are using an app of Ola or Uber, and if you are every day taking that ride from your office to your residence, you need not write the exact residence address, you need not write the exact lane. Ola or Uber app will take you right opposite to your residence. This is a live example of artificial intelligence happening out here in our country, in our city. Now, what is the basic purpose? Purpose is to make things easier, customize, and create better experience. So when we work for our corporate, what is the objective our bosses are looking for, our management is looking for, to bring something which is having a better customer experience. So better customer experience, again, is by adoption of AI. Take example of Google search, take example of Walmart, take example of music channels like Spotify. If you visit any of these social media apps, the last time you visited something, next time you visit, they will prompt you to the things which you have visited the last time. These are some of the adoptions of AI in our social world: Netflix, Starbucks, Google, Facebook, Apple, and don't go far, go for a Hilton hotel. You will find the hotel itself is totally AI enabled. Now with all this happening and a lot of voice recognition happening, a lot of face recognition happening, a lot of personalized recommendation happening, we as custodians of IT have to come back to our offices, come back to our enterprises, and have a clear roadmap of AI or a machine learning into our organization, into our enterprise. And if you don't do that for your organization, if you don't have a roadmap of adoption of these latest techniques of AI and ML into your organization, you will be a step behind, as my colleague rightly mentioned. So therefore, it is important that through seminars and conferences like these, you not only understand the basics of the topic, also try to correlate it back into your enterprise. How can you bring adoption of an AI or ML tool into your enterprise? I'll give you a live example and then I'll leave it back to the moderator. You know, we also talk of machine learning. Artificial intelligence works on the basis of algorithm. Algorithm works on the basis of machine learning. It works on the basis of deep learning. And then it also works on the basis of NLP, natural language processing. Now, how do you correlate it? When you go back to your office, you go back and say, boss, I was there in an Infocom conference. Somebody was talking high about AI. Let me think. So people will ask, what is AI? How do you tell them? Imagine that you have got a dustbin in your office and you are sitting 5 feet away from the dustbin and you are asked to break this paper into a ball like this, and you are supposed to throw this paper in that basket. As a human being, how you are going to do? You will feel it is very simple. You will do. You will say, oh, give me the paper. I'll break it like this and I'll throw it like this. First time what will happen? The paper will not reach the basket. Next time you try, third time you try, it will finally reach the basket. What will happen? Next time your colleague asks you have to throw the paper, it will be easy for you. Imagine a change. You remove the basket, keep it 10 feet away. Imagine a change. You are again going to throw that into that 10 feet away basket, but next time someone from EY, he comes to you and he gives a consulting and he says, oh, iske piche fan laga dijiye, hawa aani chahiye. So you are throwing the paper in the right direction. So your paper speed will be very high when it is going to the basket. Will your machine understand? Your machine is tend to fail because what it has understood is just this 5 feet and the 4 feet and the momentum with which you have to throw the paper. And the moment the third factor of putting a fan suggested by a EY consultant comes in the picture, you are a failure. So not only it is important for you to understand the use case in your organization, you have to also adopt it suitably. And not only you have to adopt it, you have to change it, keep on changing based on the business models, based on the business roles, based on the environment, and then only you will be able to successfully adopt AI and machine language into your enterprise. There are many use cases which we have in our mind to talk about. Probably we'll talk at the later part of the panel. Thank you so much, Nikhil.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vipul. And thanks for giving a very simple example to explain us how AI can work just by throwing and understanding how the power of force works to, and something in learn from it. Bring your paper back. And interestingly, before I move forward, a simple example which you gave of Ola and Uber and how they use machine learning. Today, when you give a drop point to your office and from your home, the Ola driver doesn't ask how to get into your home. They know that this is the tower you have to get into because the Ola and Uber application has learned from your daily routes that this is the tower location and this is the tower location in office where you have to reach. Tomorrow, if a new app comes which does not have this data and is only having an application to give you this, there is a different experience which a consumer sees. What they see is, okay, I've called, and then there will be 5 calls from the driver saying that, what do I do, sir? Inside the society, do I take a left or a right or what? Whereas a company who has used that data to understand the consumer behavior, every day I take those 3 turns and that's the tower I have to reach. In office of this thing, the consumer behavior increases, and that's where the importance of data comes into picture in using machine learning. Thanks for input, sir. Moving on to Mr. Ghosh. Mr. Ghosh, we just understood what is, with a very simple example, what is ML. But your views on why do you think it's really, really important in business today? Why can't the business just run the way it is? Why do you think this is so important at this point in time in this VUCA world?
Good evening, all of you. First of all, let us thank Infocom and ABP for inviting us for this panel discussion. And after an important session by Mr. Harish on human intelligence, it is very difficult to talk about artificial intelligence, I believe. So this is a tougher job for us. Anyway, let's try our level best. I was just searching Google because the topic was interesting and also it is impacting all of us. So I found out some keywords. First, I'll start with that. So AI and ML encompasses certain elements of mathematics, biology, computer science, psychology, philosophy, sociology, and neuroscience. So these are the components of AI and machine learning. And another thing I learned today is AI also encompasses deep learning, representation learning, machine learning, and knowledge base. So these are the components of especially AI and ML as a whole. I think our friends have already talked a lot about data science and the practical use and the need of AI. I will not go into that. Artificial intelligence in the world is present for last 30 years almost. And another data point is by 2020, the expectation is the world will have AI plus IoT total $300 billion worth of business in the consumer space as well as the industrial space. So $300 billion, if you understand, it's a huge amount of investment which companies will do, individuals will do in terms of building up AI capabilities in the organization. And my friend also rightly pointed out that when this computerization came 30 years back in India, people thought of losing job, and not like that, because it will definitely generate new kind of skill sets, set up new kind of challenges, and also bring up new job sets in terms of creating job opportunities. Certain use cases I was thinking while coming here, although we have still not started any pilots or kind of any start of any initiatives at this point of time, POCs or something like that, but we have thought about certain of the areas. One is supply chain. Supply chain is a major area in automotive industry. So supply chain financing, supply chain risk, this is one of the areas where AI will really work very effectively. Like example, my supplier is going to be bankrupt in next 6 months, or my supplier do not have the capacity to build up his capacity to support me in the next volume increase of my business. These are the capabilities which AI can be used for in terms of supply chain. Recruitments. Am I recruiting a fake candidate from the market? Am I recruiting a right candidate from the market? Doing search on the candidates' profiles, do a right fitment to the jobs, to the positions, to the profiles, and bring in the right candidates for me. In finance, we have bill passing and processing. Say for an example, this customer is not going to pay me in 45 days. He is going to make my, dates in a bad shape. These kind of predictions. So my friend pointed out very correctly, data is the main component which was not present 40 years or 50 years back when AI first came into place. So human intelligence is available, but a certain amount of data can be processed, like Mr. Harish was talking a few hours back or half an hour back. How human brain can process, the mind is thinking about certain things and the brain and mind is impacting certain things, but it can process certain amount of data. And if suppose, I don't know, about 100 people are sitting in this room, 100 people multiplied by 100 people's mind can process certain amount of data. AI can process billions and trillions of, and I don't know, petabytes and zettabytes of data in milliseconds and seconds to bring out the right kind of perspectives, which is going to impact human lives and businesses. I believe this is inevitable, this is going to come up. IoT is more prominent and predominant in this marketplace at this point of time, followed by blockchain, which is going to impact the next level of disruption. And the third disruption, which is going to impact all of us, is AI. So this is a journey. I believe things are going to evolve over a period of time. Use cases are coming up. Our friends will also speak about the use cases. We'll speak again on the use cases, but it is inevitable. And looking at the business spectrum and the way the ecosystem is working right now. I think AI is going to be a big game changer for the entire ecosystem. One more interesting part is Government of India is also having a large initiative called Samarth Udyog. I believe many people know that, which is nothing but Industry 4.0 initiative in government. Now in that also there is a specific ministries working, I think this IT ministry and Department of Science and Technology, they are working on bringing AI into various government to citizen initiatives. That is also another interesting thing which will be seen in a very short period of time.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Given your B2B and manufacturing experience, you talked about a lot of use cases, specifically in supply chain, finance, and other areas. Mr. Rajeev, you have got extensive experience in the services business and airlines business. In this services and B2C, can you help us understand a few use cases where you think ML and AI can really transform the way user experience is delivered or where this business is run?
Yeah. So with my good evening, everybody, and thanks to Infocom and Mr. Mahapatra for bringing out such an eminent session here. So in my past 30 years of experience in working in aviation industry, the first thing I've learned is why do we work? We work for more. We work for more profits. We work for more revenue. And so when we accept this fact that we work for more, we'd like to improve our top line, to improve our bottom lines. So what is it that can improve these two things? So to improve these two things, the second answer that comes on mind is the speed and productivity and performance. When we do things with the speed, productivity and performance, we are able to achieve this. So to improve, to make these things happen, the automation came. You know, I remember my first designation, I was made an head of communication and automation, right? So what are the things we can automate? So if a thing has to roll from the, baggage has to roll from the belt, how we can automate and how much we can automate that it can reach to the destination. So we have the multiple belts, which had a straight one task. So we automated one task. So what we try to do is the repeated task, we try to reduce it by to be done by machine. So that's what is automation. So I'm just explaining that where is machine learning coming to development for. So when we make the machine learn that to do the repeating task, so that it can, number one, it can do much faster than a human person. Second is it can do with much perfection than a human person. The chances of human error reduces down. Now again, here, what is changing with the scenarios? What is changing is when the adverse situation comes, when the different situation comes, when different scenarios come. Like our friend Mr. Vipul said, that when you are throwing a piece of paper, you are training your machine or a robot to send the paper at a 5-foot basket. But what happens when a fan is blowing? Will the robot be able to throw it in the basket? It will not, right? Certainly not. Similarly, if we move the basket from that location, will the robot be able to throw the paper into the basket? It will not. So even though we have made the machine learn to do a specific task, but when we make the machine learn with intelligence, the second parameter comes, that it checks for the environments, it checks for the various parameters, that what are the changing parameters, then the artificial intelligence comes into the picture. So what we do is with the repetition of the aspects, with the repetition of machine jobs, we are training a machine that, okay, if the machine basket is lying there, what you have to do, all these things are trained. So this is where the artificial intelligence comes. And for this, we require a lot of good data and lot of learning and lot of intelligence. That is where the NLP and the other, deep learning comes into the picture, wherein with the past experience of our data that is available for a particular instance, we make a machine intelligent enough artificially to do that task with perfection and speed. So this is where we come to this. So if you talk about my experience in in an airline industry, the first thing that comes at the check-in counter or at the time of the baggage handling, when we are doing a baggage scan into the X-rays. So how fast a man is able to detect whether there is something deniable or not deniable. So if we have a data of say 3 years, 5 years, and if we train the X-ray machine to highlight a particular thing which is coming out with our 3 years or 5 years of experience, that, oh, if this pointer is coming out, you need to be more clarified, you need to be more specific. So the security guard who is sitting there, who is monitoring, sometimes, you know, he may get disalerted also. Yeah. But if the machine is raising the pointer there with the artificial intelligence, so he will be more alert, and we can save much more, you know, for the organization, and save much more for the airline. So this is where the use case comes of putting in an artificial intelligence and a machine learning in a one simple way.
Thank you very much for that example, which many of us go through when we fly out and
so I would just to add one line, you know, so in each of our CIO's industry, the first thing we have to do is, where is it, what are the points where we can achieve more? What are the points where we need a speed and we need a performance? So we need to identify those points first. And then the second point we need to identify is how much of data is available for that, whether in our own industry or whether in the market, and how much talent and acquisition we have it available for this particular area. And that is how we have to make a roadmap for the ML AI implementation.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Puneesh, everyone talked about importance of, you started this thing about importance of data in this entire exercise.
Sure.
And we heard from various examples, I think, that data is important. When we start implementing such of these technologies within our business functions, many times we find that as a challenge that the data isn't there. How do we ensure we overcome that challenge and various other challenges which we face in the ML AI journey to still be very effective and utilize the benefit of this technology? How do we overcome these challenges which exist today, at least in the starting of the journey?
Sure. So as you rightly said, data is the biggest challenge and the biggest raw material here, right? So first is quality of data. So it is extremely important to ensure that we correct and complete the data first. And that cannot be done on your own, using your own team. It is important that we hire a right partner and work with them. Find out which data is extremely important, which data is less important, and simplify that so that the visualization tools or the algorithms which we're building are extracting the right data and giving you the right outcome. The second most important factor is these technologies, all the data science technologies are actually next-gen technologies, what I'll say. Largely, they are self-funding technology. So what do I mean by that is that you don't need a budget for that. Why? Because ultimately, the ROI will justify your investment, and it comes very fast in terms of productivity improvement, in terms of efficiency improvement, in terms of better margins, top line, bottom line, expanding your reach in the market. So it becomes easy for you to show the results, but at the same time, since these are technologies and technologies always bring a change, so change management is another challenge that we see whenever we implement like this. As Vipulji mentioned, people start thinking about what will happen to my job when computerization came, and similar things happen when you start implementing a new technology. People will think I will become redundant, right? Or my work will become redundant. Even if you implement RPA, people will start thinking that the bot will start doing my work. So what will I do? Maybe they will get rid of me, but that never happens. So that mindset is another challenge for us to ensure that the success of this project is there. The other is always security, because when you are doing something on data and it is online, it is soft copies available everywhere. That means you are more vulnerable now that any hacker, any attacker outside or inside can utilize that data or can steal that data or can steal the insights from them. So we have to ensure that we do that rightly. To me, but most important thing is when we are identifying the team that will take this project ahead, it is extremely important that we find a co-creator from business. These projects are all business projects. Unlike the ERPs and the BIs or the CRMs or HRMS world, which were the earlier wave of digitalization or automation, these projects are business projects, wherein you can see the results very fast. So not only sponsorship from business, but co-creation is extremely important. So they have to be part. They cannot be consumer of the IT function, right? So they have to be part of it. And the last part is, I will say, the partners that we are hiring. Partner has to be outcome oriented. These projects have to be outcome oriented. As I earlier said, going live with this technology will not be a success. A successful project will be when the metrics that you defined before starting the project or the project charter or the expected benefits, you have to compare the realized benefits with the expected benefits. Then you are successful. So if we keep all these things in mind, I think you are successful in these and the challenges will be overcome.
Interesting points into mention a couple of things on change management, impact on people, and the measure of success of these projects. I want to ask my esteemed other panelists, what do you think is going to be the impact on people in the business as well as consumer of this technology, and how should we ensure that it's taken positively and is also given positively? So anyone, any experiences and thoughts around that?
Well, it's a very valid question that what is the impact of all these technologies into the human society. I think there is a huge impact. If you talk of B2B or B2C or any society movement which is happening across the globe and specifically in our country, look at the kind of changes which have taken place. We used to go to Connaught Place market in those days, and if the shopkeeper, after we have paid the bill, if he had asked for our date of birth or date of marriage anniversary, as a consumer we used to be very proud, oh, he is going to wish us on our birthday or marriage anniversary. That kind of consumer connect or a customer connect used to happen, and then some salesman would enter that date of birth into their system, then you will get a card or a message or some voucher or something. From those days to these days, when you reach that store, the sales executive recognizes you that yes, you are Mr. John, and last time you visited was Winters, and last time you have shopped with us was this product. We have got a multiple choice of similar product, and so on and so forth. The kind of knowledge which has been created into the consumer, into the business segment, as my friend rightly mentioned, is humongous. Now, what do we do with all that information, with all that knowledge? Ultimately, we are all there to run businesses, to churn more and more revenue, to churn more and more profitability into our business enterprise. That's what is our role as CIOs, to help facilitate the business. What we have to do back in our enterprise is right adoption of all this technology environment into our businesses. Because if you don't do it at the right time, you are going to become obsolete. Your businesses are not going to appreciate your presence in the organization. Somebody else will come and overrule you. And thanks to the startup culture, thanks to the low-cost culture, a lot of people will mushroom around and will prove themselves that here is a technology which is going to help you, and your bosses are going to talk to them because those are the people who are going to connect with them to improve the revenue, to improve the profitability. This is one aspect. Second aspect is, how we used to recognize ourselves earlier. And not so far, just very recently, we used to say, oh, we will send a OTP. So you are secure, you are getting a OTP on your mobile, and therefore my application is secure. Gone are those days. Now you are sending them a link to recognize whether the images printed on the link is a dog or a human being or a cat. And if you are able to click all the cats, then the system will allow you to log in. Otherwise, it will not allow you to log in. What is happening? This is the impact of technology. This is how technology is making you secure. Look at the third angle. We as technology leaders roaming across the globe, running so many seminars, conferences, me and my friends, all of us boast that, oh, we have learned all these years, and these are the youngsters who have come, who are trying to learn and enter into our enterprises, enter into our businesses. And here we are with so much of experience. I'll give you a real life example. Last weekend, I was invited by one of my CIO friend at his farmhouse. And we said we'll have a party in the farmhouse, families will meet each other and all that. And while me and my friend, fellow CIO were chatting, the kids were also chatting, and kids are all grown up. They have finished their education, they are into jobs. And you know what kids were saying? They were laughing at us saying, what you have done in your entire career span, we are able to do it in few weeks, few months. We used to do programming. We used to do software development, software quality assurance. We used to debug the code. We used to run the compilers. We used to run the server systems. We used to remove our shoes outside and enter into the server room. The air conditioning should be up and running. Where is it all gone? It's all on cloud. It's all on machine learning, all on artificial intelligence. And these kids are the kids behind whom you have to follow yourself in your future. So therefore, with this example, the learning which has come is that you have to empower the society with your experience. You have to empower the next generation with your experience, and look at the wonders what are going to happen. The impact of technology, the impact of movement, enhancement in the social economic culture of our country is going to be humongous, much better than what we used to do. And therefore, I would like to say that artificial intelligence and machine learning, if you are escaping from it, you are doing a big blunder, because the statistics say that 60% of consumers, they are using AI-powered navigation apps. Are you using Google Maps? If you are using Google Map, it is AI-empowered. 75% of the companies, they rate a CRM system as the most important data source. It's no more a ERP. It's no more Oracle or SAP system which you are running. More important is the CRM, how you are reaching your customer. 80% of the marketers say that personalized content to your consumer is more effective. 44% of the companies use AI to detect and debar security intrusions. 100% of IoT initiatives will be supported by AI capabilities. 20% of business content will be authored by machines, and 38% of Indian jobs could be at risk by 2030 because of AI. With all these statistics which are published in the social media in our systems, where are you? What are you doing? All you have to do is go back to your enterprise and enable your enterprise with the right roadmap on AI and ML. And before I conclude, I would like to say that India is a blessed country. I have been roaming across the other continents also. What I feel is India is the blessed country because of many reasons. One is we have got young English-speaking population who have fire in their belly, who are ready to learn and adopt at a very low cost. Come to the cities of Bangalore, Noida, Gurgaon, Hyderabad, you will get people who are ready to turn things in a much faster speed at a low cost. India is also blessed with the political scenario where the whole country is talking about digital India, digital India. India is blessed with so many of its startups. With all these things, and with people like Infocom and EY and others who are running such shows to help us learn from each other, I think this is the right time for all of us to bring adoption of AI and machine learning into your enterprise. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, my next question was actually the role of India in all of this ML and AI. I think you already answered that. But you also talked about a very important aspect, which is either a myth or a risk or something in everyone's mind. There's these technologies which actually put jobs to risk. And you mentioned that thing. Mr. Ghosh and Mr. Rajeev, anything you think, do you really think these technologies today, whether it's RPA, machine learning, AI, do you really think this will be putting some jobs at risk? And, or is it really something else? Because technology is something we've been using for the last 40 years, but still jobs have been increasing.
Okay, so first we have to understand one interesting thing is why these technologies are required for the business. So business has 4 or 5 parameters on which it works. One is the revenue, second is the profitability, third is competition, fourth is customer experience, fifth can be, new market share, new market expansion and stuff like that. So if you look at these parameters, where does AI and ML really fit into? Now I belong to automotive industry, so we are really discussing about this area called SS. I believe all of you know what is SS. One is autonomous, connected, electric and shared mobility. See the last 6 to 8 months time frame. the entire ecosystem has been disrupted. Everybody shouting, please bring down the GST rates, please bring down, petrol prices, diesel prices, interest costs are going high, finance charges are very on upward side, the insurance cost has gone up, vehicle sales have gone down by 20%. Now see how the ecosystem is changing. Government is pushing electric vehicles and shared mobility is on upswing. If you see the roads, out of 5 cars, you will see 3 cars which are taxi in nature, whether it is Ola or Uber or something else like that. See the way government is trying to penetrate the usage of e-vehicles or electric vehicles. I have met a lot of startups who are into this, this electric vehicle business. The game is changing very fast. There is one startup, I don't want to name them here. So they are already making 100,000 electric vehicles, electric scooters every day, every year. So the way the biggies also are going to change is going to be very, very fast. So the entire ecosystem is working in a very different way. What is autonomous car? Autonomous car is nothing but artificial intelligence. It is bringing data from all these sensors, taking the right decisions on the roads and giving you the right directions. He was mentioning about Google Maps. Is another example. There are multiple examples already available with us. If you see your mobile phone and if you open an app nowadays, there is a recent change which has happened in Android and Apple. So it will wait for some time and suddenly the Google Assistant will come up and pop up and ask you something. Do you want any help from me? So the point is these are nothing but artificial intelligence. In our ecosystem, lot of change or use cases are there. Example, asset maintenance. Predictive maintenance is a very important thing. A machine needs a maintenance maybe in next 5 days. The artificial intelligence can predict that. I talked about hiring already. I talked about finance, bill processing, bill passing, financing, supply chain financing. Manufacturing. There are many, many use cases which are coming up. As he rightly pointed out, we need to really go back to the business, ask them what is your need. As far as data is concerned, data has to be secured. And I think there are ecosystems available, there are suppliers available who are providing the solutions and the right kind of systems which will definitely provide the right kind of data security, because artificial intelligence backed up with IoT, which is machine-to-machine communication, is going to be the ultimate game changer in next couple of years. So this data security is going to play a major role, and I think EYs and the worlds of other consultants, they have to really work very seriously in this area. Another point I want to just highlight before I conclude is regarding the outcome, which Puneesh also mentioned rightly. So these kind of projects cannot be on a CapEx or an OpEx model. This has to be on an outcome-based model. So the technologies are changing so fast. You cannot have one system and tomorrow you change to another system. You go into a lock-in of licensing and a kind of a fixed cost and stuff like that. These has to be all outcome-driven. You have to find out the use case. You have to see a shorter payback period. In our business, our CFOs are telling, please bring us investments which will give us return in 6 months. 3 years back, the ROIs or the paybacks used to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. Now the paybacks are asked for 6 months. You have to bring in projects which will bring you immediate, impact on your revenue or on your bottom line. So the use cases have to be found out. It has to be outcome driven. The ecosystem has to be in place. Whether you train your internal people for business purpose or you have the ecosystem in place for suppliers, the ecosystem is currently not that strong in India, I believe. But as our friend told that the startups are coming up very fast, and also the youngsters are willing to learn very fast and deliver things. I think this change will bring in a lot of speed in the adoption level also, and this will bring up the right perspectives.
Your last points are very, very, very pertinent to this problem. How do you ensure, while there is a lot of demand and expectation from consumers, businesses there, from a supply side, as business you want more agile method, non-investment related, how do you think really is the supply side gearing up to it? How do you see supplier landscape, internal IT functions, how their skills are evolving? How do you see all of that coming up to this expectation and really delivering to this expectation, both internal as well as external? And how should we really take this forward to actually make them meet these expectations? Anyone who want to answer on this?
It's an interesting point. It's a chicken and egg story. The demand-supply ratio is always not a balanced one. And that's where the role of technology leaders like you all play a pivot role. And you must be reading a lot about CIOs taking the front seat in the organization. The chief marketing officers, the chief finance officers, all these people are rather overruled by the thoughts of CIOs. So therefore, with this scenario coming up in our society where dependence on CIOs and dependence on technology is increasing a lot, it is your role to create a balance between the demand and supply. Because if you do not play your role correctly, then your importance into the value system of your organization will come down and somebody else will come and empower your role. How they will empower? Because there are a lot of startup ecosystem, there are a lot of use cases available in the country and people will peep outside. I'll give you an anecdote. I used to work for a company called Honda. And I was the corporate IT head in those times, and every Wednesday there used to be a meeting. And when the meeting, and I was new to the company and I was very young, my designation was just manager IT, and all the seniors sitting in that meeting, they used to throw a lot of technology questions onto me. And I used to get disturbed, and it was a Japanese culture. So I asked one of my friends, oh, इनको इतना सारा knowledge कहाँ से आता है? So one of my friends whispered, you know, which newspaper do you subscribe? I said, that paper. He said, you please subscribe to Economic Times. Economic Times on every Wednesday publishes corporate dossier. And that corporate dossier, page number 2, is specific to technologies. All these people, while coming to Greater Noida, they are reading that, putting those questions to you. Why I am giving you this example is because the source of knowledge in those times was only Economic Times, corporate dossier, once in a week, page number 2. Today, the source of information and knowledge about technology is all around. You are learning from the environment, you are learning from your kids, you are learning from this mobile phone, everywhere. Where is this learning getting amalgamated to into your organization? It is getting amalgamated to the CIO, to you, to him, to us. And therefore, if you don't deliver, what is going to happen to that information? What is going to happen to that knowledge? It will not get converted into business. And once it does not get converted into business, it will not give the value on the bottom line and the top line of the organization. And people will start saying, oh, उस company में तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, यहाँ पर ऐसा नहीं है. And then last thing which I want to say is that the role of CIO is very challenging, where you are talking of the demand and the supply gap. There is a lot of Indian culture which impacts the adoption of technology in your enterprise. You go and bring a CRM system in your organization, you feel this is the best one, all your friends have also recommended it, the vendors are known to you, you have solid confidence you will be able to implement. You go big bang in your organization to implement, you are bound to fail. Why? Because we are into Indian culture. What is happening in the Indian culture? The Guptajis and Sharmajis of the world, they impact a lot on the success of your project. So what is important for the CIO is not only to get the grip onto your technology, but also to get a grip onto the business partners who are sitting around the globe, who are going to use your CRM system. If you are able to handle the mental block set and the connect which Harish Sairam was talking about between the human beings with those Guptajis and Sharmajis of the world, you are going to be a successful CIO. And therefore, the role of CIO's role of technology is going to be everlasting, is going to increase, and it's going to be an interesting world. The next 2 to 3 years, I believe, are going to be quite interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what you mentioned was that people change management within the organization is equally important than technology and the vendor confidence.
I'll just
so you want
add one word.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah. So if you see the CIO's role, 5 years back, we used to discuss whether CIO can become a CEO or whatnot. Today, a CIO can really become a CEO because he's already driving digital in the organization, and digital is not a technology. Digital is a new way of doing business. So that is a big shift from the earlier technology side to the advent of cloud, social, mobility, analytics. Everything has completely changed the ecosystem. So CIOs are becoming more, brokers now. They know which house is available, which is the customer. They are just broking those things, and they are fitting the right person to the right house. So that is what is the game-changing situation has happened, and AI ML will bring up further changes into that role itself.
Thank you for your quick point, sir. Mr. Puneesh, you wanted to add
I
something?
wanted to answer your question when you said that which partner is the best partner and what the partner should do in this ecosystem so that the projects will succeed in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
You know, and this is also a customer expectations for a partner. So there are two types of partners that, you know, which we can find in the ecosystem currently is one is the effort oriented and the other is outcome oriented. Normally when you will ask or you give an RFP to the vendors, what they will do is they will calculate the number of effort, you know, number of man months, and then multiplied by their rate card and give you the effort that this is what we will spend, and that's the reason we will charge you this
Traditional
much,
approach, yeah.
right? These projects needs disruption. Disruption means you have to be outcome oriented. So if the partners say that, okay, this is what I will deliver, and then this I will charge you this, it becomes a partnership approach. I think this is what is required in these kind of projects, and customers will be very happy to have those partners.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Nikhil,
Very
I
interesting.
just want to add one more point.
Sure,
You know,
Mr.
like Harish Savaraman, you know, pointed out one very, very important point is change.
Yeah.
So in this AI and ML is totally as per your mindset that are you adaptive to the change? Are you adaptive to the change of the disruption that it is going to bring into the industry? So this is the key point that while considering AI and ML or any other new technology with the disruption, that whether your employees will be able to adopt it and who will be able to adopt and who will survive and who will go.
Yep.
So the answers goes there for your all three questions. You know, whether the employees will leave a job or they will sustain,
Yeah.
is whether they are adaptable to the change or not, whether the organization is adaptable to the change or not, whether the top team is adaptable to the new technologies and the changes that CIO is recommending is how well you are able to adopt it.
As they say, change is constant. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I just got reminded of the time. So thank you, dear panelists, for this interesting discussion. I hope it was useful. We'll be around, so any questions from the audience post this session can be taken up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank our chairperson and moderator and our panelists. May I request you to remain on stage for a couple of more minutes, and I'll request Mr. K.K. Mohapatra to kindly come on stage and present mementos to our chairperson and moderator and our panelists here. We'd like to thank our chairperson moderator, Mr. Nikhil Kumar. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Puneesh Lamba. Mr. Puneesh Lamba, thank you very much, sir, for being here with us and spending your valuable inputs with us during this session. Mr. Vipul Anand, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Parna Ghosh, thank you, sir, for your inputs and your time. And thank you, Mr. Rajeev Gupta. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. It has been very interesting and interactive. And thank you, Mr. K.K. Mohapatra.